don't even know how to start this. Okay. I just finished Bride by Ali Hazelwood, and this book took me on a journey that I did not expect. And I'm going to be honest with you, I don't know if I loved where I ended up. I know. No one is more shocked than me. So let's just have a book chat moment. We're going to talk about the book, all spoiler free, because I have some thoughts and feelings. It is a new day, it is a new video, and today we're talking about my thoughts and feelings, all spoiler-free, for Bride by Ali Hazelwood. For the record, I just want to say that I really enjoy Ali Hazelwood. She's one of my auto-buy authors. The moment that I read The Love Hypothesis, like 3 years ago, 4 years, when did it even come out? I don't even remember now. But I basically became obsessed. I thought that it was so fun. I like the way that she writes about big men. I like the way that she writes about smart female main characters that are funny. And I like the pop culture references. I like the fact that Ali Hazelwood is a Twilight fan, unapologetically so. Like, she's a fangirl through and through, and guess what? So am I. So the moment I found out that she was writing a paranormal romance, she goes, okay, here are all my books about women in STEM. I'm going to try something new. I was like, say less. When can I pre-order this? When can I read this? Because I need this immediately. And there was a good chunk of time where I was just kind of dreaming up what this was going to be. And just for some backstory, yes, I am a huge romance reader, a huge fan of romance. I am a hopeful romantic through and through. But I'm also a huge fangirl for all things paranormal romance. I loved Buffy. I loved the crap out of Buffy. I loved Underworld. I had a Teen Wolf phase. True Blood, though. I didn't necessarily love the ending, but like, Season 4 of that show, there's blood and chocolate. Vampire Diaries. Also, for the people who know, Paul Wesley, Stefan from the Vampire Diaries, he was on the show called Wolf Lake. I don't think it made it past the first season. I just remember watching it at like 2 o'clock in the morning on a channel that we have here called the Space Channel. So whatever I had dreamed up, I was like, I feel like I'm just going to enjoy it, because in my mind, this is going to be a romance book with paranormal aspects. We're getting a vampire and a werewolf. It's an arranged marriage for political reasons. And I'm sure there's going to be some alpha energy because he's the wolf. And I'm so here for that. And I was even more here for that because I had just finished The Fake Mate and I loved that book. I really did feel like it was the perfect romance book that infused paranormal aspects. It's spicy as heck. And my first introduction into the Omegaverse, that I'm brand new to that, but like, The Fake Mate, I really enjoyed it. So I genuinely thought that we were going to be getting the love hypothesis in banter and pacing and romance and all of like the small, like, oh, what does this mean moments, but just make it about vampires and werewolves and an arranged marriage. So when I started this book, I was like, okay, yes, that's what we're getting. And then the more I read, the more I realized that my expectations of a romance book with paranormal aspects was not what we were getting here. We were getting a fantasy book with a romance subplot. And I'm not mad about that because I also like fantasy books. But that was kind of like the first moment when I was reading this book where I was like, okay, my expectations need to be switched. I need to adapt fast. So like that took a moment. So I'm not only switching my expectations while reading this, but I'm adjusting to a whole new idea of a book that's being delivered to me. And I definitely feel like that came into play. So now that I'm in like a fantasy mode, I'm like, all right, there's some politics happening here. This marriage, it's a fragile situation. I did not feel any fear. I did not feel any worry. I did not feel invested in the kind of mystery that this book turned out to have. I didn't know there was going to be a mystery. Again, I'm not mad about that. I don't mind a little mystery with my paranormal stuff. I feel like in that, we could have been building more of a connection with the characters. And some people might be like, well, this is a slow burn romance. And like, I hear you. Didn't know that going in, but I found that out while I was reading this book because I saw a bunch of TikToks and people were like, oh, slow burn romance. You like vampires? You like werewolves? Check out Bride. And I was like, oh yeah, it is a slow burn romance. If you're going to give me slow burn, you have to give me a lot of interactions and a lot of pining. There has to be a level of angst as well. So we're chugging along, we're reading this book, things are fine, but I just am not feeling any sort of connection between the two main characters. And then I feel like the ratio switched from more of a plot heavy mystery really to, okay, we're experiencing more romance. And I feel like I got lost in that flow. And then as things continued, I saw the attraction but again, didn't feel it. And then the male main character made some decisions that, of course, made sense in the grand scheme of things. But for me, I was like, how do I get behind that? Like, how do I, when I was done it, I felt like this is now done. Is there going to be another one? Like, is this is it? It's a standalone. Okay. Like that's, genuine reenactment of my thoughts and feelings like when I finished it. And when you feel like that, when you finish a book, at least for me, it makes it hard to label this as a love. And I kind of sat with it and I thought, okay, I really do think that my preferences, especially with fantasy romance, and if it has any sort of paranormal aspects, is I need angst and I need fear and I need a lot of pining. Like if you look at how long it took for Elena to get with a certain Salvatore brother, it's a couple seasons, all right? It was a couple seasons. And I felt like that buildup matters. And I feel like this book was missing buildup between the two main characters. It's like, okay, I'm already switching from this being a romance book with fantasy elements to a fantasy book with romance elements. If you're going to give me romance elements, they gotta hit. They gotta like come out swinging. And unfortunately, they just didn't for me. I definitely feel like my own expectations came into play here. I think that it threw me off, created a barrier between what was delivered and what in my mind I thought I was getting. So yes, that definitely is part of the reason why this didn't land for me. So I think that if I had to rate this, I would give it 2.75 because it's not a bad book. I fully understand that this is an unpopular opinion. At least I feel like I've only seen people who love this book. So take what I said with a grain of salt. Everyone is entitled to their own opinions. If you loved this book, feel free to let me know in the comments. Let me know what you loved. Let me know if you didn't love certain things as well. We can chat about them because that's the whole point of a book chat video. We can share our thoughts and feelings. This is a safe space, but that is the end of this video. I will see you in the next one, which is going to be my guide to how to read the Shadowhunter books. I'm really excited for this one because again, there are paranormal aspects in that series and I love it. Anywho, adios. I'll see you in the next one. Bye, Clovers.